You can see this waterfront community is no longer on the water. And that's not coming back. This is never going to be what it was. What drew people here originally isn't coming back. The fish aren't coming back. We used to have millions of fish in this lake, and they're all gone.
Hi, I'm Len Nessifer. I'm half Navajo, I'm half Scottish-Romanian, with a PhD in engineering. And it's as confusing as it sounds. I used to work in government and academia, thinking I was saving the world. Turns out I was just wasting red tape, so I quit. Now, I'm pedaling up the Colorado River, the West's dwindling lifeline. Why? Because in 2026, after a century of mismanagement, stakeholders will renegotiate its future. This could be the river's last chance. So saddle up and join me. We're going to get uncomfortably close to the muddy reality. Once a mighty force carving canyons and nurturing civilizations, the Colorado has seen better days.
That swing used to be in the middle of the sea.
A 1,450-mile river system snaking through 7 U.S. states and Mexico, serving up life to 40 million Americans and irrigating 15% of America's crops. It powers millions of homes, spans 11 national parks, and is home to 22 Native American tribes, and is the primary water source to the fastest growing region in the United States.
They're trying to get to 99,000. If they get the magic number of 99,000, they can get more water.
Over the last century, we've built hundreds of dams, thousands of miles of canals, and we've treated it like an endless source for growth. Now, while climate change has triggered 2 decades of unprecedented drought, exploding population has increased demand on dwindling supply, Indigenous communities' rights remain unrealized, and endless engineering has created environmental crises along the entire watershed.
Es un río sin flujo, un río muerto.
Over the next 6 episodes, I'll journey the length of the Colorado from its parched delta to its snow-capped source, examining the water crisis.
This mountain is more symbolic of primary obligation to the landscape is understanding that water is life.
I'll cycle through sun-baked canyons, climb towering mesas.
You scared, bro?
Float past ancient petroglyphs.
Yo, homeboy was glyphing.
And ski sacred peaks. Chatting with an eclectic cast of characters.
You're gonna squeeze it?
I'm gonna squeeze, yeah, this is the fish squeezing.
Because there's no better way to understand the landscape and its people than by traversing it under your own power. I began my journey in Mexico, near the Sea of Cortez, where the dregs of the once mighty Colorado come to die. Local cyclists and friends, Carlo Robles and Daniel Diaz, have put together a route that tracks the river north through the once broad river delta.
Perdón.
It's gonna be a hot one. So we're at somewhere near the end of the Colorado River, 60, 80, 90 miles from the Sea of Cortez, and beginning this crazy journey from delta to headwaters. It's crazy. This is where it all ends, huh?
We are in Mexicali right now. Our state is very desert, so every river represents for us hope and the water for the desert people.
At one point, this river used to fill this entire valley. There was trees and giant marshlands, and now that the river has been siphoned off at different points upstream, it's now just this. And even this is kind of a miracle because I guess in recent years it hasn't flowed this far. Really, the next few weeks, I'm going on a journey to figure out where the water went and the story of the people and the things that are happening all upstream from here.
Today, we're cycling north over 60 miles of gravel past farmlands and through rural communities as we follow the Colorado to where it reaches the border with the US. I wanted to start our journey where the water ends because perhaps there we can find the beginning of a solution. Our first stop is at one of the Restauremos El Colorado restoration sites where local Carlos Curiel is managing efforts to restore the river after 100 years of neglect.
El río se encontraba en esa zona, se ha encontrado seca, solamente que hay flujos ambientales que son parte del Acta 323. Esas son entregas a aguas para el medio ambiente. Entonces, hace 2 semanas comenzaron esas entregas y hace aproximadamente 5 días.
Carlos is talking about pulse flows, water that is periodically diverted into the natural river channel. That's the water I was dipping my tire into. These flows are the result of multilateral agreements between the US and Mexico to return some of the water to the natural river habitats. To understand why we talk about this river like it's a legal document instead of a force of nature, we need to go back to 1922 and the Colorado River Compact, an agreement comprising 7 states and divvying up the Colorado like it's a pie at a kid's birthday party. The plan was simple, just divide the water. But just like many plans made by men with tall hats, they bungled it. They calculated 18 million acre-feet of water per year, when the number is closer to 12. And they forgot to invite some pretty important guests to the party, like Native American tribes and Mexico. The result? A population that has outstripped the river's ability to meet its residential, industrial, and agricultural demands. A fierce political and legal climate that has made management increasingly difficult, and a river that runs dry before it reaches the ocean like it has for millions of years. We stopped by another restoration site to talk in more detail with 2 local workers, Marta and Eduardo.
Desde que yo tengo aquí, pues ya son 8 años. Y pues se nota mucho el cambio. Cuando llegamos, pues aquí no mirábamos nada.
Este proyecto binacional, no sé si ya les platicaron que está conformado por 6 instituciones, 3 americanas y 3 mexicanas. Y lo que se busca es que este corredor ribereño que ya tiene más de 100 años sin vida, vuelva a tener vida, ¿no? Dice la bibliografía que perdimos más del 90% del ecosistema nativo.
So why is it important for our communities to have natural space?
Hay un término que se llama biofilia, en donde nosotros como seres humanos tenemos un arraigo natural hacia la naturaleza, hacia el contacto de la naturaleza. Porque pues a través de los miles de años siempre hemos estado en contacto con la naturaleza, ¿no?
O sea, ¿qué mensaje hay para las personas que podemos tener la idea o la impresión de que el río Colorado está muerto en esta región?
Pues realmente no hay un río. El agua que hay es principalmente de retorno agrícola. Entonces, aproximadamente el 80% del agua que llega a México es para la agricultura. Y en realidad es un río sin flujo, un río muerto. Y lo que se está haciendo ahora con este tratado es devolverle ese flujo natural que tenía el río, que llegaba hasta el Golfo de California. Pero el mensaje que yo podría decir a lo mejor a las personas que están en Estados Unidos es, pues volteen a mirar a México, vean que no es lo mismo.
Mexico was given a guarantee of 1.5 million acre-feet in a 1944 treaty. But that's after the upper and lower Colorado River basins take their 7.5 million each, which we now know is more than the river holds. So entrenched are these water rights, and incentivized we are to use every last drop that we've left an entire nation with nothing but a trickle. I expected much more resentment, to be honest. As we pedal the last few miles of today's journey, I reflect on what has been an unexpectedly beautiful and eye-opening ride north. The work being done to restore the river is a hopeful glimpse at what once was, and that is all we can hope for. The Morales Dam is the end of the line of the Colorado River in many respects. And so we stopped to have a chat with Martín Moreno, who is the acting gatekeeper of all the waters that reaches Mexico.
Soy ingeniero mecánico, soy el encargado de la presa Morelos, de la operación. Tengo mis superiores, pero ahorita soy el encargado. Es un programa al año, 1.800.000 tantos millones de metros cúbicos. Entonces se respeta todo el tiempo ese año esos metros. Entonces cada semana o cada mes tenemos un pedido que tiene que estar respetando Estados Unidos. Ahorita el agua en exceso no hay. Entonces toda la agua está contabilizada y se manda a México. Y ya de ahí ya se reparten para los módulos de riego, agricultores y un acueducto que va hacia Tijuana.
Martin's words paint a clear picture. Every drop of water reaching the Morelos Dam is meticulously accounted for and allocated. Any water that managed to flow into the actual riverbed, that's considered waste. This isn't just an attitude, it's an official policy, shaped by the dribble of water that Mexico receives and our insatiable demands of it. Can we really call this a river anymore? But there's no time to dwell on it. I'm leaving Carla and Daniel in Mexico and continuing alone into the United States. Today I'm on a dirt road that traces the man-made Highline Canal for a short ride into the agricultural capital of the West, the Imperial Valley. This is a region responsible for using the vast majority of the Colorado River water.
So we're here really to learn about where the Colorado River goes and what it supports. And you know, a big part of this conversation is, of course, ag. And a lot of people eat the lettuce from here, but don't know where it comes from.
I'm with Jack Vesey, a multi-generational farmer in the Imperial Valley and one of the very few willing to talk with us about water.
95% of what we call winter leafy greens comes from this area, and that's for the nation. You know, the interesting thing here is we have one source of water, the Colorado River. That's our only source of water. And we have one canal that comes in down here in this corner. The All-American Canal brings it in. This is the Highline Canal that goes from the All-American Canal all the way up. This side's agriculture, this side's desert.
But, you know, the discussion about this river has just turned up recently because of the shortages. What's the discussions that you've seen here?
We understand we need to be part of the solution. So I don't like it when I read somewhere that the farmers don't want to be a part of the solution. Well, we do, but you know, at the same time, not to the detriment of our community or ourselves or our business. There's a big investment to be made, right? And there's a marketplace, and we're price takers, not price makers. And I think farmers now, especially in this day and age, we understand it. We have a precious resource we're dealing with.
Being a part of the solution isn't just talk for these farmers, it's an imperative. Remember the 1922 River Compact I mentioned earlier? In 2026, that gets renegotiated, which means how the river is managed will be examined, and with farming accounting for 80% of all Colorado River water use, agriculture is under intense scrutiny. Farmers like Jack are saving 1 to 1.5 acre feet of water per acre compared to 2 decades ago. But as Jack puts it, that's just the low-hanging fruit, and more needs to be done. The billion-dollar question is, who's footing the bill?
We used to grow on 40-inch beds. So right here, right?
Yep.
And we would have 2 seed lines of romaine on a 40-inch bed. What you're looking at here is an 80-inch bed with 8 seed lines.
Wow.
So you want to talk about increase in production, how much water we use per head. We've actually flattened this bed out and made it wider to get this 8 lines of romaine seed lines on one bed.
It doesn't equate to like half less water, but it's probably a little less.
Yeah, I think we're using per head of romaine.
Yeah.
We got to be using less water.
That's great. Where is this lettuce going? Like once
That's
it
going across the United States.
Yeah.
This is going to all your major stores, all your chain stores, restaurant chains, food service. It could be, it could be from Maine to Florida, to Washington, Texas, all across the United States.
Right. Does that make you feel proud?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a lot of hard work, and to know that wow, look what we did. It's pretty cool.
As I cruise past these seemingly endless fields of lettuce and alfalfa, with Jack's words echoing in my head, it's hard not to feel with a twinge of, confusion. On one hand, we've got a river on life support. On the other, we're watering the desert to grow our dinner. You heard Jack. It's a business decision, and those crops aren't growing themselves for the fun of it. They're growing for us. Every time we toss a bagged salad into our shopping carts or bite into a juicy burger, we're making a draw straight from the Colorado. We're generations removed from the farm, and as a result, there's a disconnect between our society and its food source. Today's ride is a straight shot north. As I continue along the Highline Canal, the knowledge that I'm descending further below sea level alongside an oddly beautiful man-made river adds a surreal element to the ride. Welcome to Bombay Beach in the Salton Sea. Born from an engineering mishap in 1905 when the Colorado River decided to jump tracks and take a sabbatical in the ancient Lake Cahuilla. The residents here, they're the ultimate optimists. They've endured one environmental disaster after another, and yet they stay, they adapt, they create. It's a community held together by equal parts necessity, history, and a shared fondness for the absurd. I rode straight down to the beach to meet Iron Dad, an artist, an activist, and an athlete.
Yeah, so I built this. I had this idea of building a satellite dish that looks like a heart, call it the Free Love phone booth, and it'll be like a direct connection to cosmic love. In 1905, this used to be the Salton Sink, and it was just like a very shallow bed of an ancient lake. The lake had disappeared about 500 years ago, so they came in and they figured out that the soil was really fertile here. So they started bringing in Colorado River water. Initially, it worked pretty well. They had farmland established in the Imperial Valley, and then the Colorado River is very silty, so it started silting up the canals that they had built. And they had to create a diversion canal. And when they did that, they under-engineered it. It overflowed, created a massive breach that was something like 1,000 feet long. And the entire flow of the Colorado River came into the Salton Sink and created the Salton Sea. This was just all, basically a wide, barren bowl of dust. And then over the course of a year and a half, it turned into the biggest lake in California.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
The situation here couldn't be further from that of Jack Vesey's farm an hour back down the road. A community being slowly choked off. Water that once fed this accidental oasis is now being diverted to quench San Diego's thirst. Meanwhile, drought accelerates water loss. Bombay Beach is a microcosm of the American Southwest water woes, a complex tangle of environmental, economic, and social threads that all pose as a canary in the coal mine for many other communities in the basin.
You can see this waterfront community is no longer on the water.
Yeah.
And that's not coming back. This is never going to be what it was. The kinds of people who came to this community and what they built here, fortunately, that stayed. You know, this DIY aesthetic, like this community, this DIY value system even. The DNA of Bombay Beach is still there, but the way we express ourselves and the way we survive is different.
Yeah. I mean, does that experience like give you hope, or like seeing the community come together in that way, or?
Yeah, I think it's one of the few beacons of hope along the whole Colorado River story. And at the end of the day, Bombay Beach was faced with the overall options: either abandon it and walk away, and Bombay Beach chose to change.
It's like community's huge.
Yeah, I mean, for better or worse, we all know each other.
Yeah.
As I leave Bombay Beach and close out this first leg of my journey, it's clear the shortage of water in the system is already impacting people who live at its fringes. The predictions for the future of this basin are extreme and as varied as the Salton Sea shoreline. As we move towards 2026 and the renegotiation of the Colorado River Compact, it's clear that human relationships are at the core of the solution. If we can't see eye to eye, there's going to be nothing left to look at. In our next episode, we finally link up with what's left of the Colorado River's natural route. Though at this point, calling anything about this river natural is a stretch. But first, we're taking a detour through some of the most impressive plumbing this side of the Roman Empire.
Wow. Oh my God, that's incredible.